Today's video is sponsored by Squarespace. It's during the first few seconds of this video that I'm supposed to create a hook, something to get you excited about watching this video, but here's the problem. If I'm not excited about my photography, how on earth can I expect you to be excited about the video? You see, I'm on a film photography trip in Iceland, and today it's flat, grey, and just downright miserable. And my enthusiasm for the landscape is about as low as it can possibly be right now. Of course, there is one thing that can change all of that, and that is light. So the sun is gonna set right in the middle of this valley. Let me just dial down the old ND filter. Look at that gap. There is where the sun is gonna set. So if those clouds don't move too much further, it's only a matter of time until all of these mountains you can see here that surround this beautiful fjord, they're all gonna be hit with glorious golden light, and then all of the clouds that are currently raining above us, they are going to catch, and this whole area could kick off. I kid you not. Now, I talk about managing your expectations with photography and how you shouldn't build up your expectations, but when there are visible clues as to how it's going to go, it's hard not to get excited. So this is definitely a shot that I want when we get the lights, and hopefully we'll get colour on these mountains. But for now, I have black and white film loaded in this camera, so I need to get rid of it so I can free up this camera, because I don't want to be shooting glorious sunset light with black and white film. I'm sure it'd be lovely, but I'm really hoping some, a 𝘧𝘧𝘧𝘪𝘭𝘪𝘢 moment. So f16, quarter of a second. Remove the shower cap because it's still raining, and there we go. I think that's going to make for a lovely black and white image, but I do think, or at least I do hope, that in the next hour it's going to be beautiful on these mountains and we should get some glorious light. So yeah, this is definitely one shot. I'll see if I can find another one. Well, I'll be honest with you, I'm struggling. I've been walking now for quite some time looking for compositions. The first shot of the pier, although I don't know what the image is like, the composition I thought was quite nice, but I also thought it was just a little bit obvious. But maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe I am just being a snob and I need to get over myself. Of course, the problem is Darren and Thor are now stood on the pier. 3 people really can't shoot a pier, especially when one of them's got a massive pano camera and needs to be dead center. So I think the pier might be out of the question, which leaves the shoreline. Yeah, it's hard. This beach is full of footprints, and that's another struggle I'm having as well. The gap is closing. The gap is closing, and I knew my expectations were too high. I knew it. All right. So the good news is I found a composition that I'm really happy with. The bad news is that gap is but a mere slither at the minute. It's almost gone, and I just don't know. I don't know. I'm gonna load some Provia. I'm not giving over my 𝘧𝘧𝘧𝘪𝘭𝘪𝘢 to it because I don't think it's gonna really explode. I'm gonna have to do this in record time. Loading film under pressure is not advised. Okay, so that is Provia loaded, and I can't help but think it ain't gonna get shot. Well, my thinking was absolutely spot on. The gap in the sky continued to close and block the light from hitting my subject, and the longer I waited, the more obvious it became that my gamble of shooting to the east had not paid off. This time, I had seriously misjudged the light. It's kicking off over this way. But there's no shot that way, not at least from where I am. It's banking on the light and everything being that way. And as you can see, all of the cloud has filled in, blocking the light. Yeah, might still happen, but it won't. It won't. Well, we had a fantastic light show. Unfortunately, it was in the complete wrong direction. The gap closed up and we never got what we wanted. But that's landscape photography. That is landscape photography, so I'm calling it. And I will be back. Maybe not here, but we have a sunrise tomorrow morning. To be continued, I think. To be continued. Well, unfortunately, it looks like when that cloud rolled in and blocked that window of light, it's here for good. We are socked in by really low cloud, but I'm determined this morning, to make an image, to prove that you don't need glorious, glorious light. We'll see though. So we are well and truly socked in, and there should be a massive volcano/glacier over in the background there, which of course you can't see. But if you stick a giant cone-shaped glacial volcano in any location, that becomes the main subject. So with that obvious distraction removed, now the landscape opens up. Now your creativity can start to, you know, juice up. Of course, I'm trying to make the best of a bad situation. All right, so we've got an all right composition here. Just gonna drop in a graduated filter to darken the sky, not because I need to, but because I want to. So I'm shooting this f11, 1 second exposure. 𝘧𝘧𝘪𝘭𝘪𝘢𝘵 100. There we go. No glacier, but a pleasing image nonetheless. So I'm about to do a first here. Wildlife photography with the 𝘭𝘪𝘯𝘬𝘴 501cm and a roll of 𝘭𝘪𝘯𝘬𝘴 400. That's right, you heard me correctly. Wildlife photography. So just on the water in front of me here, we have a couple of geese. And I like the landscape as it is, beautifully still water, layers, minimalist, you know, very minimalist scene. My kind of photography. But you throw in a couple of geese and it just adds that extra element of interest, and not huge in the frame, obviously, because, you know, I'm shooting on this 150mm lens and they're quite far away, but it is a small detail that when you look at the image or you look at a print, you'll just pick them out. And I quite like that. Now, it's just a case of waiting for them to be still for a second. Oh, here we go, 1 second exposure. The geese haven't moved. The geese haven't moved. All in all, I'd say that could have gone a lot better, but also it could have gone a lot worse. At the beginning of this video, my expectations, they were too high, and I think I got too excited about what could have been. But at the same time, if I didn't have that glimmer of hope on the horizon, I might well have just gone back to the hotel and called it a day. I think my biggest mistake was not adapting to the changing conditions, and instead I stubbornly waited and hoped that the light would go my way, which it didn't. I guess in a way this is what makes landscape photography so addictive, in that it doesn't always work out, but when it does, honestly there's no feeling quite like it. And a quote by Ansel Adams actually comes to mind: landscape photography is the supreme test of the photographer, and often the supreme disappointment. The second day felt a lot better. I wasn't stressing about finding a composition based on the light, and instead I just took the landscape for what it was and worked with what I had, rather than waiting and hoping for something to happen. I suppose we need a good mix of these approaches, and of course, a little bit of luck on our side. Anyway, let me finish with a quick message from today's sponsor, which is Squarespace. If you don't know who Squarespace are, they're a website building platform. So if you're, as a photographer, you might want your own website, your own domain, online gallery, online store, that kind of thing. Well, that can be really complicated if you're trying to build and code your own website. But with Squarespace, it's idiot-proof, so people like me can build one. You just use their intuitive drag and drop system. If you get stuck, you can use their 24/7 customer service, or do what I always say to do: go on YouTube, look up Squarespace tutorials, and you'll build yourself a really nice website in no time, or like within a day. It's really good. So if you fancy that, go to squarespace.com/Heaton and give it a free try. If you like a free trial, use the offer code Heaton for 10% off your first purchase. Thanks for your patience, everybody, and hopefully with a bit of luck, I will see you all next week.